Hey everyone, it's Dr. Barden here. Today I'm going to be kind of walking you through the vocal recording and normalization assignment. This will be kind of a jumping off point for all of our recording assignments going forward, as well as a basic introduction to the idea of audio normalization. We will dive into this a little bit more as we go through more advanced topics a little later in the semester, maybe in one of the follow-up courses. It depends on time as we go from there, but you should at least know that it exists and the broad scopes of what it does. So what I want you to do is to start by going to this website right here. There's a link to it in the assignment, so you don't have to worry about finding it and copying it from this video. This is just a random word generator. And the thing I like about this one is that you can specify starting and ending letters. And what I want you to do is for every letter of the alphabet, so I'm going to start with A, generate a random word. Able, that could work. Maybe you don't like that. Pick another one. Aluminum. And up here, just go through and pick one word for every letter of the alphabet that you like, and jot this down. I do have another link to a Word document where if you want to just use the preset template to make sure that you've got all this, you can. You can see these are the ones that I'm using for this assignment. Technically, you don't have to use the generator. If you know a word you want to record that starts with this letter, that's cool. As long as there's a word for each letter of the alphabet, that's what I care about, not specifically that it came from this exact website. I just figured this would be easier and you don't have to think about it and go from there. But once you have 26 words, again, basically filling out this sheet with one word for each letter, you're going to hop into GarageBand. And I've already recorded this because the computer gets angry if I try to record into two different programs at once. But you're going to record yourself saying each word. And I'm going to play that back just right here. Boy. Choose. Dog. Ephemeral. And that's that. You're just going to, again, put a little pause between each word, but record yourself saying, where'd it go? There, all of these words here. So if you wanted to, you could put it kind of onto the side of the screen, like so. Maybe we can make this a little smaller, something like this, so that way you can see your words and read it. Again, this will do all of the things we need to do in class for recording. So make sure that you set the microphone up. It's got a good distance from your mouth. You're speaking clearly. The gain level is decent. All of that. So that way we don't run into any issues with the recording. But once you are done, and you have recorded all 26 words, this is the tedious part of the assignment coming up. What you're going to do is go in, and if you need to zoom in, we can use this little zoom bar, zoom in right there, and we are going to separate all of them out into different files right there. So it is the Command T to split at playhead there. So if you put the playhead in between these words and hit Command T, it will split these into separate little audio sections, just like so. And I'll just will, just because that's a lot of silence there, I'll get rid of that much. Just like that. So we'll do that there, and then just click and drag each of them onto a new track like this. So that way they're starting at the beginning here. And technically, if you were to play them all at the same time, it would sound like this. It'll be really weird, but they should all just start at the beginning. Have a little bit of silence on either side of the word, just so you don't cut anything off accidentally. But from there, you're going to go in and name each track apple, boy, choose, dog, and ephemeral. Name it that word just so you can know what is what and what you have there. We are now going to export everything and make sure that it is normalized. Again, as a reminder, GarageBand will do some auto normalization, and it gets the job done when you're doing stuff like this, but I'm not a fan of it because you can't control anything. And when you would want to normalize and make it useful, it is not useful in my opinion. So I'm going to open up my settings window right here. And if I hop over to advanced, this is where you can choose the recording and all that stuff. But under auto normalize, you want to make sure that this is on. All right, and this will adjust the volume when you export stuff, make sure everything is nice and clear and loud. But again, you can't control that, which is not very useful. And this can cause a lot of headaches if you're making like whole big projects, in GarageBand. So for right now, we're going to make sure that's on, but just know that we will be diving more into this in the future. So once that is on, select a track and hit the solo button. Again, this is the one with the headphone icon, and you'll know that you've done it right when that track is yellow and everything else is grayed out. From there, you can just take this little I call it the loop bar up here, cycle range, I think is the technical term, and I'm just going to click and drag it, and that is my longest file, so I'm just going to make sure that it gets the whole file right there. Maybe just a hair more. Oh, that's the playhead. Anyway, just so it's not excessively long. We don't want 5-minute audio files for this. But now that you've got that track soloed, we're going to go up to Share, Export Song to Disk. And then this is where I already made a folder for this on my desktop. But if you wanted to, you could make a new folder so you can find it right there. And we're just going to name it. I'm going to call this Apple. We want it to be a WAV file at that 24-bit right there. And then export cycle area should be on. And you're going to export. Bloop. And there it was. It should not take any time at all because it is incredibly fast. They're very short files. But once that's done, I'm going to solo boy and unsolo Apple. And I'm going to do the same thing. Export song to disk. Boy. I'm going to, again, make sure that the folder here is selected. You see there's apple.wave already. Wave, uncompressed 24-bit, export there, and do that. It does it. That's great. Share. Ooh, I almost forgot. Unsolo, solo the next one. Share, export song to disk. Choose. I'm going to go to desktop. I don't know why it's always going to that other folder. That's a little annoying, but okay. Again, all the settings there should be the same, though. I say okay. It does it. Unsolo this one. Move to the next one. Share. Export song to disk. I think you're getting the idea now. Desktop. There. Dog. And last but not least, I will go to do that one more time. Ephemeral on my desktop. Export it there, and you'll do that. I'm only doing the first 5 for the sake of the demonstration. Again, you will be doing this, and this is the most tedious part, 26 times. Again, 1 for each letter of the alphabet. That's why I recommend recording them all in one big track at once and then snipping them down like this. It'll just save you a little bit of time. I'm very aware it's tedious, and I'm doing it on purpose. So once we're done there, I'm going to hop into this folder right here, and you should have all of your files. You can check and make sure it works. Dog. Ephemeral. Apple. We just want to make sure that everything you can hear, it's clear, you know what the word is, there's no random background noises or electrical hum happening, stuff like that. And once you have all of those in your folder here, you're also going to want to take that list of words that you made, drop it in here. I'm going to attempt to drop it in here. There we go. Just like that. And actually, I'm going to put it back in here just so that way I don't forget where that is. But once you've got all that, you should have a total of 27 files in this folder. Again, I don't care what the folder is named, where it is, but you should have a folder with 26 short audio files and 1 document file or PDF that has your list of the words. It should look something like this, just with more. Once that's done, we can right-click or control-click the folder, go to Compress, It will compress. It'll probably take a little bit longer once all 27 files are in there, but again, they're all pretty short. But once this is done, this file right here is what you should turn into Canvas. If it's too big to turn into Canvas, upload it to your student OneDrive account and put a link to that in Canvas. And that is all I am looking for this assignment. Again, we'll dive into more of why you would want to normalize and settings and why I hate the GarageBand normalization like this in the future, but you should just, for right now, make sure that it's turned on and it's ready to go. So that's all we're doing for this assignment. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, stop by my office hours. Again, I'm always happy to help. So that's all I've got here. I'll see you next time I see you. Bye.